Is he ready to go? Okay. You're on your own.
Oh, we got to start. Almost ready.
Yeah, it figures. So he can fill in the blank. You got one joke? You got a joke?
All right, well. My mother told me that it was all right not to have any friends growing up. No, not funny? All right. So I was supposed to be talking about seasonality of farming and mimicking the seasonal harvest of nature, which is, the cues for your farm are found in nature. When the catfish are running, all right, that correlates with a bunch of other springtime activities. The maple sap, all right, as soon as you're getting moths in your sap, it's time to pull the bags. That's nature telling you, all right, it's too warm, you're going to get bacterial growth. As soon as the frogs start chirping, the ground is thawed. And what correlates with the thaw of the ground in Wisconsin is the birch sap starts running. So there's all these cues in nature that, you all know what a mime is, a mimic. He's out there, doing the same thing you're doing, that if you're struggling with figuring out the timing of some of the stuff on your farm, that you can just look to nature to see what's going on in nature. This is just for fun because I had some comments about rhubarb wine and what do I do with all the rhubarb before I was selling it. Well, we were making, this is not for human consumption, so don't get any ideas with that.
That's not rhubarb moonshine?
Not at all. No. Exactly. This is the roaster that we're using to follow up on the coffee that we're doing that I showed yesterday. That this was not hard to put together to get this roaster going. Back to this just because it's so funny. And yesterday the theme was he didn't see it coming. But the theme today is you should see it coming because the seasons repeat themselves. As soon as you get used to what's going on your farm, that you should be out there knowing exactly when to be planting all of your crops. And not necessarily exactly, but your journey in regenerative agriculture is going to take you to this place of discovery. More seasonality. All right. Maitake, or hen of the woods, fetches a pretty premium price. People are like, man, where do you find that stuff? And it's like, well, for one, it is a very short season. Mushrooms are an extremely short season. You could spend all summer going out to that tree. Is it there yet? Is it there yet? Well, if you know when this comes out, paying attention to the humidity, the temperature, the change of the season, you go out there and bam, there's your 50 pounds of maitake. And then you put pictures like this on Facebook and everyone comes out of the woodwork. Can I get some? This is chicken in the woods. My wife's favorite mushroom. It does taste like chicken. And again, the bugs will be in this in 48 hours. So if you're not there exactly with the seasonality of this, that you're going to be missing out. So everyone has pictures of all their cute babies, so we're going to throw some pictures of cute babies. But I want to pause for a second and kind of backtrack to some thoughts I was having while listening to Greg and Debbie up here. And being successful at farming, being successful in regenerative ag is as much a personal journey as it is what's on the farm. That the stewardship is something that you need to internalize and take seriously as a profession. I mean, we got a couple of very professional people here that have spoken this week. I mean, Russell Wilson here, I mean, this guy, I mean, he takes everything very seriously. Dr. Alan Williams, I don't think that I've ever seen anyone more serious. Okay, so, you know, that being a professional is what is going to make you successful. Some of you don't know this about me, some of you do. My older brother played eight years in the NFL, all right? What made me into the person I am today is all the dirt that he used to feed me. So, that wasn't a joke, that was the truth. So, if I want you to take anything away from what I'm talking about up here is that we're successful on our farm not because, you know, we have 50 acres of paradise in Wisconsin or that we do all these different things. It's that when we decide we're going to do something, that we take it very seriously, that it is part of stewardship, that you got that piece of land, and if you want to pass it on to your next generation, if you want to be successful, that you're going to go out there with the attitude of, I need to make this happen. These Meishan pigs, and we've been asked a number of times, you know, what kind of pigs we grow and all these other questions. These are a very prolific pig, and these guys here are the least professional pigs I have ever worked with. I mean, come on, you guys. Just lay around all day. Achieving a level of volume to get yourself into market, and I was talking about this with the rhubarb yesterday, that when you've got 10 little pigs running around, it's cute, okay? When you've got 50 pigs running around, that people are like, wow, look at the uniformity of your animals. People can see, and this is part of telling your story and marketing, that if you really want people to take you seriously, then you need to achieve just a level enough where people are like, that looks like a lot of work. You know, and if people are telling you, man, that looks like a lot of work, that's how you know that you're on the right track. And there's some Jersey milk mixed with water there, and that's how we get these pigs. You can't see the fence. There's a hot wire right there, and we get these piglets eating outside, and that's how we grab these. We don't grab these piglets one at a time. We get them following. They'll know that milk's in the back of the truck, and they'll follow that truck wherever that truck goes. So another batch of piglets, and this is where we are kind of reaching the scale where, all right, we've achieved this you know, what we would consider kind of a professional level of raising seed stock. We can dial it back a little bit because the evidence is there that we took it seriously. We put in the work, we put in the effort, and I don't need to be moving 300-400 pigs a year. All right. The past couple of years, and I'll be straight honest with you, we do $50,000 a year in business, and that's not a lot of money. But if we wanted to sell more pigs and we wanted to have more income from the farm, it would take me away from being flexible to take advantage of other things, or even come on this trip. That I got a text in my pocket saying you've got a pig out from the person watching our farm. You know, if we had 40, 50, 60 sows running around, it wouldn't be one pig out. You know, there'd be a whole bunch of pigs out, and the county would probably be calling me. The seasonality of rhubarb. As soon as the ground thaws, it starts shooting out these little sprouts. And for you to be successful with a lot of your crops, or if you're going to be propagating crops, I mean, Russ is talking about this where, you know, his growing seeds is becoming a profitable venture for him. Having nursery stock is a great place to enter into. If you've got other enterprises going on, how do you diversify on your farm? That you you have to find certain things that you can enter into without expending a lot of time, a lot of income. Perennials will do this. An example of just how much a rhubarb plant will grow. So rhubarb's actually a rhizome. People don't know that. That is 1 year's growth. Kind of a whole bunch of rhubarb plants that Russ saw and said, hey, can I get a couple of those? Here I am. And it is so early that this is barely emerging, that if you didn't know where your rhubarb's planted, you'd have a hard time finding it and digging it up. But the ground's thaw, the grass just started growing, and it's go time, that I've got a short window to be doing this. You guys, there was some rhubarb juice out there this morning that you guys could try. This is one of our proprietary processes in processing rhubarb is boiling it. So I'm going to give that away for free to you guys. All right, I'm not trying to sell you anything. If you're going to make rhubarb juice, you're not going to press it. You're not going to, use other type of juicing methods. The only way to do it is to boil it because it separates the solids. Sour Ron's righteous rhubarb. All right, Sour Ron is my father-in-law. It's not funny. So, Sweet Delight, there's a little contrary. And to touch on a little bit of marketing, sometimes it's all in the name. That people look at and they're like, Sour Ron's righteous rhubarb, that must be good. Look at how long that name is. Seasonality. Elderberry is something that the birds are going to get to. That you've got to be out there. If you're doing these different ventures, that you need to spend just a little bit of time figuring out what the season is. We were delivering pigs down here to Concord, Georgia, and there's these buzzards out in the field, and I asked the guy, I says, are those good eating? And he looked at me, and I was like, yeah, is there a season on that? He says, no, you can shoot and eat all the buzzards you want. All right. This is in Missouri. All right, I was going 11 miles an hour over the speed limit. They pulled me over and they gave me a ticket. And I told the guy, I says, that's fine, just write me a ticket. And he's like, we got a lot of deer around here. And I said, don't you have a season for them? He didn't think it was funny. So this is my new Facebook page because people just don't understand that I'm a kind of a prickly guy, and I figured that people were seeing all these pictures of animals and they expected something from me that I just didn't have to offer, that I thought that maybe I could give them a little heads up that when they're dealing with me that I'm not here to hold your hand, but I am open to, you want to call me, you want to ask me actual questions and get some real information, I'll talk with you about anything that's relevant, but don't just waste my time and be nonsensical. The view of the driveway that the county was out to tell me that I didn't have the right permits. So, Wisconsin has four real seasons. So growing up, there was always something different going on, and that's where I learned about diversity. That's where I learned about you always got to be doing something different because the ground's going to be frozen. If people watch this Game of Thrones thing, winter's coming. That's no joke in Wisconsin. Winter is coming, so you better be like a squirrel in the fall. You better be, gathering up your nuts and storing them away for a rainy day. We like to farrow year-round, but we've found that it's actually better in the late, now this is early spring. It's mud. It's a little warmer than December and January, but December and January are our driest months. And it actually works better to farrow in December and January when it's 0 degrees and dry than in April, or even worse, March, where you have this, it's 50 degrees one day, it's 10 below the next day. That these sows, it warms up, they want to find a wallow. And it might be 50 degrees during the day, and they're out there laying in a puddle of water that's has snow floating in it, and then the next day it's 20 below. So what you might think is conventionally the correct season to do things may not be the best for how animals deal with the weather that's presented to them. Going into the fall, November, it's getting cold. They're going dormant. They're kind of seeking out that dormancy. They want to be huddled up in there. They want to be cozy and warm. When they have their babies in December and January, they don't come out of there for 24 hours. They sit still. They don't crush the babies. Well, in the springtime, they're all antsy as can be, and one warm day, and they'll go run out in the woods and have their babies somewhere, and they'll be frozen that night. So, dealing with the seasonality of things is a learned process. Uh-oh. That didn't take nearly as long as yesterday. And I didn't write anything funny, so. I am a blessed man in so many ways, and I'm down here to try and share with you the adventure that has been land ownership for us, and all the things that we do are part of stewardship and understanding what stewardship is on a larger scale. That if you're successful in what you're doing, don't be afraid to be out there sharing it. If you're just getting going, don't be afraid to be knocking on people's doors that are successful. I told a joke last year about, when people ask me, what's the first thing that you do when you get a piece of land? Well, you go around and look at what all your neighbors are doing right. If they're growing, good asparagus or they got nice trees, go there at night and dig some up and bring it back to your garden. See, it's funny every time I tell that one. You wouldn't see me.
We're recording.
She's already invited me to her place, so why would she? Hopefully next year we will be bringing some pigs down for possibly the pasture day and maybe doing like a hog auction. So if any of you are coming back next year, that some of these purebred Maishans and purebred red wattles might be available for you. So that's part of the one is the two different, right Debbie? You gotta tell them, make them feel good about it, and then sell them the product. But honestly, Debbie is a rock star, and I don't think she understands just how difficult it is to even try and mimic what she's doing up there, and that's some pretty impressive stuff. Along with all the other speakers in here, I don't know why you guys have just some hillbilly from Wisconsin up here talking about the stupid stuff I do when you've got this lineup.
Diversification.
I didn't see that coming. That's right. So, all right, go for it.
I don't know how close we need me to hold it, but we're ready for pigs, and we'll wait for you. But my question to you is, unless you want to come sooner, but my question to you is, what is a comfortable, because we've not done any pigs, what's a comfortable, manageable, good learning curve to have to get started?
As to
Yeah,
how-
a number. Like 1 sow, 3 sows, like, what do you think? And do you buy babies, or do you go ahead and buy a bred one and bring her in? Like, what do you think?
I can fit about 35 in the back of my pickup truck, so
Babies.
yeah, right around 30, 35 is what I'd like you to take.
They're like rabbits.
Honestly, I actually did a video, or partially video on this, is that when you're selecting for breeding stock, that in cattle, it's similar, especially dairy cattle, that if you have a high producing cow, that there is so much expectation of her daughter, that her daughter is going to be productive. And when she produces a bull calf, you're just like, oh no, I needed another heifer. Same thing with the pigs, that I would almost rather take a whole litter of gilts. That if she's got 3, 4, 5 gilts out of a litter, that's where I'm starting. And even though one of them in there, I know she's probably not going to make the best mom, or that she doesn't have the right teat lines, or her wattles aren't symmetrical as I don't know how many of you deal with associations, but if you Google my name, you'll find that I've been kicked out of the Red Wattle Hog Association for breeding too many pigs and selling too many pigs and bringing too much attention to the red wattles. 3 or 4 sows allows you to cull 1 or 2 of them the first time around, because you're searching for a diamond in the rough, if you will. I mean, they're not diamonds in the rough, but if you only start with 1 or 2 sows, you really don't have that spectrum to look at and say, all right, this one is so much better than the rest. So as many as you can afford is.
Buy them bred so you don't have to deal with the boar?
We sell bred stock, but I can't get as many in the truck, so they're not as profitable. So I'd prefer you take these. But having a bred sow is a real gamble, because if you don't know the breeder, you might be inheriting someone else's problem. And bred sow, come on, You can see back here, this was a group of, I think we started with 20 sows, and after the first season, we were down to 11. So I called 9 of 20 after the first group.
But that's why we pay you the big bucks. You already did the work, right?
That is exactly why you're about to pay me the big bucks. you keep talking it up. So I mean, I'm actually going to have Debbie handled. What's your commission? Will you do this for 10%? Handle this sale? It'll be worth it on my end. So.
Anybody else have any questions? Here.
I apologize if this is repeating something you've already talked about. I wasn't here the first day, but do you cross the 2 breeds at all?
Yes. There is, right now we have actually 4 crossbred sows that are actually a Mulefoot Meishan cross, and we bred them to a red wattle boar, and we've got, I don't know, about 40 of those piglets on the ground. They do look pretty good. We were just down in Balsam Grove, North Carolina, visiting a fish farmer. He sells 100,000 pounds of trout a year, but he also raises red wattle and Meishan pigs. And the Meishan pig there is 2,000 years of breeding selection in this breed, all right? Because you can't get that ugly over just a couple generations. And I'm not even kidding you when I say that Meishan pork is a different animal. So if you're looking for the best tasting pork, it's Meishan pork. If you're looking for the easiest animal to get to move around on the farm, you can't. Mostly because they can't see where they're going. Okay, so I thought that these would be good for novice farmers, that we would be able to promote these as an animal that's easy to work with. Well, yeah, they're great, even-tempered, and they're very sedentary, which is probably some of the reason that they have great pork. But as they age, their wrinkles in their face, their big ears, make them so that you can't really rotate them. You would never be able to rotationally graze or move these sows around because they just, I mean, I throw the feed out and they're all sniffing in the air trying to follow their nose to it because they can't see the dish. Back to 2,000 years of breeding. When you're running your own breeding program, don't try and change, don't expect change from your herd in 1 year. That it's a generational thing, that unless your father and grandfather has been running this herd of animals, that there's no way that you're going to be able to provide the selective pressure to it in 5 years or even 10 years to really make meaningful change. My uncle raises purebred Red Angus up in Wisconsin, and he's had those animals for 20 years, and finally he's been able to select for an animal that will forage on these really poor quality marsh grasses. And I tell him his beef tastes like mud because he grazes just because he's my uncle, it doesn't taste like mud. But some of that pressure, it does take a number of generations. Pigs will turn over a lot faster than cattle. So, you know, when you're selecting a breed, go out and select from a breeder that is doing what you want to do because they already have been selecting for what you want. Don't just go to the, yes, sir.
Hey Ryan, what's your culling criteria for sales? Like how big do you let them get? How many litters? That kind of thing.
Well, when my anger level reaches about here, then they go on the truck. So it has a lot to do with the difficulty of working with the animal. If one sow here is going to raise, she's going to wean 8 piglets every single time, and she's so easy to work with. And you've got this other sow over here that's going to wean 12 or 13, but she dumps over the dish. She's grabbing the dish and running away with it. She's just making a problem, and she's a problem child. You know, I'm going to do exactly what my parents did with me. They're going to turn me over to someone else that would be good. You're my new adopted family, so I'm straying too far, Mike?
No, you're fine.
All right.
You're fine. Anybody else? Okay, Ryan, thank you very much.